Are you looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this football and basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select two or more players, pick more or less on their projections for a wide variety of stats, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and injury insurance on your picks are what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the PrizePicks community of more than 7 million players who have already signed up. Right now, PrizePicks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/bluewire and use code BLUEWIRE. That's code BLUEWIRE at prizepicks.com/bluewire for a first deposit match of up to $100. PrizePicks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
Today's episode is brought to you by Cars.com. With over 2 million vehicles and 50,000 more added every day, Cars.com will match you with the perfect car for you, your budget, your life, your style. And if you're ready to say goodbye to your current car, Cars.com will get you an instant offer to cash it in. Just start by entering your license plate and get matched with a local dealer who will write you the check. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, just go to Cars.com. It's magical.
Good morning. Welcome to Mavs Moneyball Group Therapy. It is 12:45 a.m. on Wednesday, January 11th. Thank you so much for joining me on this preposterously late episode of Mavs Moneyball's Group Therapy. And the Dallas Mavericks just lost to the Clippers and 113-101. It was a not a shocking game. The Clippers had lost 6 in a row. Kawhi Leonard came out and played really good basketball, and the Dallas Mavericks once again look like a team a day late, a dollar short. They just don't really have the horses right now, and they, when you don't have good enough players and you don't have really great strategy on top of your kind of talent deficiencies, things start to catch up with you. Like Derek Harper went on this wildly weird, he did it like 4 times, sort of like disparaging Kawhi, who just ate the Mavericks lunch. Now, I've talked about this, I wrote this in the recap. I talked about this in the first podcast I just did. The Mavericks doubling of Kawhi Leonard is, for as much as they did it, not the attempt. I get trying, because sometimes you just want to see if a strategy will work, if it'll fluster a guy. The Mavericks double teaming of Kawhi Leonard, for as much as they did it, is up there with some of the worst tactical decision making that this team has, and this coaching staff opted to go with in a long time. The Clippers are an awful offensive team. It's quiet because, the Lakers' problems are bigger, but the Clippers are a mess. They do not have an offense. We complain about not having an offense. According to Cleaning the Glass, the Dallas Mavericks half-court offense might be the best offense of the last 20 years. That's how fucking good Luka Doncic is. The Clippers are a mess. So the decision to send a second guy at Kawhi, who made a basic pass out of it, and then have your backline defender as Christian Wood as your final line of defense, as Tim Hardaway and Jaden Hardy and other people are basically swarming to play 4-on-3 basketball, is bad coaching. It's to stick with it that much. The decision, I'm going to reiterate this, the decision was fine, because you always want to try stuff. You double Luka because it's the best defense you can do and hope that it works. And obviously it worked against the Mavericks tonight, because the Mavericks didn't really do anything to stop it. But to go to it for almost that entire stretch in the second quarter, when the game went from being down 8 to being down 22, and then to do it again in the fourth quarter is borderline coaching malpractice. And Kidd was a little persnickety post-game, basically implying that the Mavericks needed to execute the game plan more. No, you need to look at the team you have, okay? Davis Bertans did a better job in single coverage in the third quarter on Kawhi than the Mavericks double teaming. Like this, I always say basketball is simple but hard to master, and sometimes I feel insane when I watch professionals try stuff that we know isn't going to work. Okay, I am just rambling. You guys are here talking. Let's bring up some people. Let's speak. I'll let you guys speak your piece, and then we can just go to bed. Because we got to play the Lakers on Thursday. So Krishna is the only one who's put in a request. But if the rest of you, if anybody else wants to come say anything, let's chat it out. Krishna, what's up, man?
Kirk, how are you?
Okay, tired. Still got a lot of work to do. Josh, we give Josh the night off tonight because he wasn't feeling the best, and it means I wrote, then I gotta edit, then I gotta edit some more stuff, and then I gotta edit 2 podcasts. So I'm gonna be up till like 4 in the morning.
Man,
It's fine.
I saw that tweet. I'm sorry.
No, don't feel bad for me. I choose to do this. I'm a dumbass.
But this was the perfect Josh game, right? Josh Bowman game. The Mavs don't make threes. They look like a lottery team. The Mavs hit threes. They're a finals contender. It's been that simple all season long. And, I thought it gotten to the point where the team was maybe making smart decisions in terms of the strategy, but this was clear. Like you said, this is a coaching error. That
was a coaching error. Like sticking with it. That was my
but
because like everything, it's like Luka good. Okay, that was that was their strategy.
Yeah, and I mean, but it's frustrating because I've already seen it on Twitter. Like, oh, Luka is going to stat pad. It's like no, the guy was trying to put the team up. Like, there's the other thing where the Mavs had 23 in the fourth.
After the games, or send me some stat padding stuff. I'll quote tweet dipshits tonight. I'm in a I'm in a fuck around and find out mood.
It's so bad. Like I don't understand it. He had 20 of the 23 points. They brought the game down to single digits at one point. Like. Yep. You can't sit here and tell me the guy, he was bad in the first half. I'm not going to.
Yeah, it was 1 of 5 to start the game, and the first half was brutal.
He was actually atrocious. But then you pile that on top of Tim Hardaway Jr. just didn't take any shots.
What happened? What was that?
That was the most puzzling thing ever. And you opened the fourth quarter with 4 shots in a row that were actually atrocious.
Yeah.
From Davis and Reggie. Like, they were literally atrocious.
Yeah.
And you combine those things with a really bad defensive plan. Like it made no sense at all. You like you said, this team was bottom in terms of offensive rating, just offense in general, and you're letting them do whatever they want, and it made absolutely no sense. Especially let Kawhi beat you. Like, Kawhi is a great player. I'm not going to sit here and not say that, but Kawhi has not been good.
He's a reduced player. The one good point Hart made was when he said Kawhi would have dunked one of those and ones that he got in years past, and he's right. So it's like if you're letting Luka, if you want to treat Kawhi like we treated Steve Nash in that one playoff series a billion years ago, that's fine. You just try that. Like, maybe they try that next time. They play the Clippers 2 more times in the next month.
Sure, I mean, maybe, but I don't know. Like, it's very puzzling because if it was Paul George, I don't think they would have done it. It would have been different because Paul George, maybe, but also in that game, I think back to the first Clipper game, you still had Dorian, you had Maxey, and you had Josh. Like, just because you put the same plan that worked previously, you have to also think about the personnel. And it feels like Kidd puts on the blinders, writes down a defensive game plan, and goes, oh, just go execute. Well, yeah, of course, in a perfect world, your players execute the perfect game plan. But you have to think about the personnel around you, right? And there's clearly a lack of thought behind the personnel, and that's reflected a lot this season in the offense. But the defense has been something that I think we've kind of ignored. And it's clear the scheme is not – it doesn't make any sense with the personnel you have on the floor right now at all times.
I'm loath to criticize. I'm criticizing this one strategy like mad because it was obvious that it didn't work. I also don't think anything would work. they have been so bad defensively since Maxey went out. And is that a shock to any of us? I don't think so. And so it's like I'm struggling with the reconciling things that are their fault and things that aren't their fault, because Josh and Dorian are going to help, but it's not going to help that much.
I agree with you. I agree with you. Maxey is far more important on the defensive end than I think anyone can really understand, or you can put it into numbers. But like, okay, you need to understand you don't have the same personnel, right? Like you would think, okay, you do the trapping, right? You do it on the first few plays of the game.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. Guys are getting open drives to the basket. Guys are getting open shots. I mean, heck, there was a point in this game where Terrence Mann made 2 3-pointers in a row.
Right.
Terrence Mann should not be making 2 3-pointers in a row on you.
Yep.
Ever.
Yeah.
And at that's the point where you got to go. We can't trap anymore.
Yep.
Like you cannot.
They
kept doing it.
That's the thing that I don't understand. They had been playing very conservative defense during the win streak, drop coverages, all sorts of stuff, because it's the best. It's conservative, but it's like stuff you live with. And to get it's one thing to be a bad defensive rebounding team, because we know that already, and it's something else entirely to. They gave up 15 first half second chance points. They did much better in the third quarter and fourth quarter. They did better right up until the Luka brought it within 6, and then they got an offensive rebound because Tim doesn't fucking pay attention. And then all of a sudden I want to say it was like 107-98 at that point. I can't remember exactly. And then the game was just over at that point.
Yeah. And I mean, it was just mistake after mistake, whether it was the coaching staff, whether it was the players. There's clearly just mistakes in this team. And, the article that Josh wrote earlier in the season, that this team is the perfect
discourse team.
Discourse team. Just the perfect media machine.
That's right.
For Mavs fans. I mean, that's what it is. And listen, I don't want to put a downpour on anyone. I don't. The Tim Hardaway stuff, like the trade stuff, it's so obvious to me what that is. That's clearly just cap. Like, it is clearly just to clear cap, and it's not going to affect the salary cap. It's to keep the team.
It's fantastic because Karis LeVert shit the bed for the Cavs tonight and lost them the game. So it's, at the moment, it might be like a hilariously ideal trade for both teams, just based on the fact that everybody is by and large sick of the respective player for their respective teams.
Sure. But I'm also like, I don't want to be trading for players that are closer to 30 and are injury prone for cap space. Because here's the thing. I know where this is all going to lead. This is all going to lead to 2025. And Mark Cuban is going to say, we're going to go all in. And Nico Harrison is going to say, we got a seat at the table. Yeah, your seat at the table is for guys like Isaiah Todd to sign a 4-year deal, and then he doesn't shoot well from 3. He goes 25% from 3 for the next 20 games. And then you got to trade him out to Philly. Like, that's where this team is going to be in 2025 because you think cap space works. I mean, teams sign extensions. Like, do you not realize that players sign extensions? Like, I don't understand. Like, if you take a flyer on a young guy, right, I can understand that. But I cannot see this team go after 30-year-olds, chase injury-prone players, do these kinds of things that are self-detrimental. And it's not just one person. It starts from the top and it goes all the way down to every single level. And it's just frustrating in these
I
kinds of
still don't
games.
know if they're going for cap space. I just think at this point they're probably looking to rearrange some of the chairs on the Titanic to see what they can do, because I don't know. It's funny. Timmy is probably one of my favorite Mavs, but I'm to the point where I want to remember him fondly. Like, I don't want to watch him anymore.
I mean, I agree with you, right? Like, I've never been, even when Timmy signed the new contract, I've never been the guy who completely hated on Timmy. Like, he has his limitations, and that is very clear. And, we're kind of seeing it in Indiana. Rick kind of does so well with players who have their limitations because he can somehow trick them to think that, hey, just do this one thing. and that's it. And then they go, oh, and then they do one thing, and then they look great. And so I agree. I do think Timmy has to be traded, but I don't want players to be traded and then we just go, oh, we have cap space. Like I feel like you need to get something tangible back. There's that great stat. It's been since 2004 the Mavericks have gotten a first round pick. You think you could get a first round pick in what 19 years? You would think so. And yeah, maybe Tim is not necessarily the guy to go get a first round pick for, but it puzzles me and it baffles me the kind of stuff that this Mavericks team, or essentially Mark Cuban, thinks this team can be. And look, when you make your own bed, you can't get mad about it. This is the bed the Mavericks have made over the past few years, and that's what it is. And I'm not going to completely overreact, say that the season's down the drain or the gutter, but this is what's going to happen. The team is probably going to be fine against very bad teams when Luka plays, and it's going to struggle when they make choices in game that make no sense. And I don't know. I mean, it's just it's the perfect discourse team forever. And
that's right.
There's nothing else to add.
All right, man. Thanks for hanging out.
Thanks, man. Have a good.
All right. Good morning, Algis. How you doing?
Good morning, Kirk. How are you? Why are you still up after this great game from the Mavs?
I'm an idiot. There's no other explanation for me being
you're great. We are happy. We are happy to have you. You're great, especially us overseas fans. Just a couple of points maybe to show my respect to you and your crew for doing a great job following the Mavericks. Do you remember the fourth quarter scoring for the Mavs?
Yeah,
Luka 20 points and Ntilikina 3 points.
23 points.
I mean
Luka and Frank, the backcourt of the future.
Yes. No, you know the MVP discussion. Which MVP candidate can boast to have such a strong supporting cast like Luka had?
It's weird. It's weird because we watched Jokic kind of get away with. I think his cast might have been worse, but he plays a different style game. But I always waffle on this because when you're missing Josh and Dorian, I just don't have high expectations. I am curious as to why Tim stopped shooting. That was very peculiar.
Yeah, I think that what it comes down to every time is the roster construction. I'm a bit like Luka. I don't watch a lot of NBA games outside of Mavs. And I really trusted the front office when they told me in the offseason that McGee will help us rebound and protect the rim and all of that, and that he is our biggest offseason signing. And now he barely plays. And Christian Wood, who was, we'll take him and see if it works, now has to be a combination of Tim Duncan and Hakeem Olajuwon that we have a chance to beat a solid team. This is, I think, at the end, what's the problem with the team. And when you're missing 3 of your 4 best defenders, especially Maxey, then this is what it is. But still, if the Mavs now need to outscore their opponents, this is the strategy because there is no other strategy possible.
Yeah.
When you don't score, that's a problem because, as you said, the Clippers are a bad offensive team and they still outscored us. And they have one really good player in Kawhi, and Kawhi got 33 points, and we still lost, although we doubled him for half of the game.
It looked like an easy 33 points for him too. Like they all just happened. And the part that, and I'm always very reluctant. I'm reluctant to criticize 2 players. First, I'm very reluctant to really criticize Christian Wood. I'm also reluctant to criticize Jaden Hardy. I'm reluctant to criticize Wood because there's a pretty massive fan base of people that think he is the business. I don't think he's bad. I just think that it's like, if we're arguing over him, then the Mavericks have lost the thread. Then the Hardy stuff was interesting because it's like, He was a plus 15 despite being 1 of 6, which is, that just goes to show you what, the plus minus stats game to game are sometimes not that effective. But I liked what Hardy was doing. He was driving, he was trying. The process was good. The results were bad. And that, that happens sometimes. But the Mavericks cannot play Hardy and need Hardy to do stuff to win games. If you need Hardy, then once again, the thread is lost. Like that's not going to be a successful recipe. And I like the kid as much as anybody. He's a small basketball player. Terrence Mann made him look small. He is not, he has a big wingspan. Kind of tired of people telling me that he's this like 6'4" guy. No, he's about 6'2", maybe 6'3". It's fine. That's fine. You can still play. It's just he's not going to be the white knight riding in. Our expectations are, does he get minutes and is the process good? I loved how relentlessly he drove, but he also got stripped like 3 times. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're right. His last name is Hardy, but he also plays hard. Sometimes I have a feeling, when the Mavs play other teams that are deprived of their best players, the supporting cast, they play hard. Maybe they're not as good. Obviously, they're not as good as their best players, but I have a feeling that they play hard, that they try to make a difference. Sure. And sometimes with the Mavs, I have a feeling that there are not a lot of players on the roster that really try to play hard. Luka plays hard most of the time, except when he doesn't. But outside of Luka, who is the biggest, dog on our team? Who is the guy who will make a hard foul, who will go for the rebound, who will play hard? I don't see players like that.
And Powell was hurt.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for spending part of your morning with us.
Yeah, no problem. Right, thanks to you.
All right. So last but not least, I think it's last. Yeah. Jason Gallagher. How are we doing, buddy?
Hi there, Kirk. How are you?
Dragon ass.
Yeah. I mean, it's late, brother.
What's going on?
So I'm sure this has been discussed, but I think I went to the game against Oklahoma City without Luka, and it really was just a sight to behold how truly lost the Mavs are without him. And especially and it's always been very, very glaring, but like that was a game where you're like, oh, that's where you missed Brunson. Like, you know what I mean? Like the secondary,
don't have an offense.
Yeah, they have zero secondary playmakers. Yeah. And with the Mavs, who have built their entire roster around, are the shots falling? Are the shots not falling? When the shots don't fall and you have nothing else, then like Luka double teamed and shots aren't falling, then you have no third option. You have no third lever, like none. Dinwiddie is not a playmaker. He's not. I watched him the other night. And what I found to be fascinating about him is that he actually tries to play at the same pace as Luka.
Yep.
But it's like his mind isn't as fast as Luka. It's not even close.
And whose is, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's a tall task for sure. There was a moment in that Oklahoma City game. I was sitting fairly close, not to be bragging, but I was sitting very close to the court. And I was like, there was a moment in which Dinwiddie passed the ball to Dwight Powell, and there's zero movement with the ball. And Kid just screams, do something. He just screams that. And it's what you felt, but it's not what you wanted to hear from the head coach. And it's a little bit of like this Brunson thing, maybe he's not their answer, but I don't know. With the West as open as it was, I really do feel like not having that third lever, it can't be a big, like not having that third lever is really, really going to hurt Dallas.
Oh yeah.
It's
catching up with them.
It's really going to catch up with them. And I mean, we've talked about the glass half full podcast that we're someday going to do. I just, right now the glass half full is that we're streaky as hell. So we can be on anytime, like anytime. Yeah. And the West, I don't have faith in like a single team. Not a single one besides maybe Denver. And even then I'd roll the dice. You know what I mean? So it's like, those are the two big positives. And obviously we have the best player in the West, in my opinion, my humble opinion. So it's like, I don't know, man. A part of me wants like I live in two thoughts where I want Dallas to go far. Ultimately, that's what sports is about. But like, if they go far, it's simply because of A, luck, and B, Luka bailing out a lot of really shit decisions.
Which broadcast did you watch tonight?
I had to switch back and forth because the Mavs broadcast, God love them. I actually found the Clippers broadcast to be
Jim Jackson is a gem. Jim Jackson.
Yeah, I found it to be very palatable and like even keeled. I love the Mavs broadcast, but like the Homer shit sometimes drives me nuts. Where it's like the Mavs are down 20 and Followill's like, "Oh my god!" It's like, okay, let's just take a nap here. Yeah, I mean that exactly. And so I switched it to the Clippers.
You telling the kid thing made me laugh because Harper at one point goes, "Look at Jason Kidd always coaching these players," and the first thought that went through my head is, "That's his fucking job." Like, why do we give awards for people doing their job?
It's a really weird thing. It's like it sucks because like they're so, again, like there's a decent chance that the Mavs can go far in the playoffs. Like I don't rule that out.
Breaks, absolutely.
Right breaks, everything like that. But like, it's really hard to assess blame to one person. It's like what's that guy in Andor? You watched Andor, right? The guy who was talking about how the way the Empire works is that they throw so many things at you that you actually start to get numb to all of it. Like that's kind of how it feels a little bit, where it's like between roster construction. I mean, I texted you tonight. It's like Maxi's out, Powell's out. Screw it. Let's throw Bertans in to start the second half. And oh, by the way, like now he's out. Let's have Luka be our center. And it's like, okay, so that's what happened to our free, like possibly the biggest acquisition in our free agency is like not even the fifth best big option, fourth best big option. Like it's a really bleak situation there. So it's like roster construction's bad. It's really, really, really easy to put the blame on Kidd, but at the same time, it's like what offensively, what plays are they supposed to be doing? The guys aren't hitting shots. You know what I mean? Like really easy to place blame in a lot of different directions, so you don't actually know where to put it.
Yep.
And so you just hope that this singular superstar can bail out a ton of bad decisions. But right now there's literally no secondary playmaker. And it's not the lack of shooting that's the problem, in my opinion, because these guys can hit shots. But it's when you need somebody to take over when Luka is being doubled, when you need somebody who can make a split decision a little faster than Dinwiddie, you don't have it. And that is, to me, the biggest issue with this season of the Mavericks.
Well, and then it's like,
This is advertiser content brought to you by Frito-Lay.
Hello, I'm Chip Murphy, here to get you ready for the big tournament. Tonight we'll break down who will be cutting. Cut! What are you two doing?
Sorry, Chip. Prez here got his feathers ruffled when I told him Ruffles has zero chance of winning the title.
And I was letting Dip know that she is not taking into account Ruffles' iconic ridges.
Guys, it's March. We have to start talking about the tournament.
We are. It is the 2023 Frito-Lay Snack It.
We're talking about big-time matchups between Cheetos, Smart Food, Lay's, Sun Chips, and more.
Just head to the Frito-Lay Snack Bracket and vote for your favorite chip, pretzel, or dip for a chance to win up to $1,000 or a year's worth of snacks.
This sounds great. Keep up the good work.
Just go to fritolaysnackit.sbnation.com. No purchase necessary. Sweepstakes ends 4/3/2023. Void where prohibited. Year's worth of snacks awarded in the form of 52 coupons, each good for one bag of chips. See official rules at fritolaysnackit.sbnation.com.
All right, we're all friends here. It's late. I love watching people be happy. Okay. It's a joy in sports. What I do desperately try to and I try to get this in. I don't do it as often anymore. I don't want to rain on people's parades. But when I see people that are really excited about Skyrim, NPC, McKinley Wright the Fourth, and all these, it's like, oh, it's this guy, he could be something. No, he can't.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm not doing, Our buddy Austin, who used to write at Mavs Moneyball, said that the other day that Jaden Hardy is the second coming of Roddy Beaubois. This is not a thing. We have to stop with there's excitement, and then there's beating those Houston Rockets 3 times. Requiring 160 points from Luka to beat them. I'm just like, what are we doing?
Well, it's Roddy Beaubois is a fantastic comparison because we have literally nothing to show.
You're
100%
right. Austin, I already apologized to you. Austin's my guy. He knows that.
Yeah, I love Austin. Love him to death.
I love these people who are just like, one of our regular contributors who comes in here and he's not here tonight because he went to bed like a normal person. He told me the other day, he's like, Kirk, in 3 years, Jaden Hardy's going to be scoring 25 points a game. And I'm like, for the Shanghai Sharks? Like, what are we doing?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I'm not going to go as far. I'm not going to go as mean as you are right now, Kirk. I'm not going to go full heel on everybody, but I will say the hope that Jaden Hardy gets to that place is a healthy mindset for an optimistic fan. The idea that he is going to bail everyone out of this season is sort of a joke. And and that to me is where it's like, that is the issue because and that's why Dallas, tried to get Kemba in there because it's like Kemba's a playmaker kind of like that lack of somebody else is really, really hurting Dallas. And maybe Jalen doesn't take Dallas to a championship. I have no idea, obviously, but I have come completely on the side of like, it really is a mistake that Dallas just like let him. That's not a hot take. Let him go. But I just really like, you really can see and feel the effects. And I don't know why seeing that Luka-less game, it was watching Dinwiddie try to lead that offense was really hard. Like it was really tough. Like, and like I said, he plays at the pace of Luka without like any of the decision-making skills of Luka. It's bizarre. It's like crazy. It's like, just because people say Luka has a slow pace, shouldn't be your takeaway to be like, I gotta play that slow. It's like, no,
it's like the Walgreen Brands toy that is like, it's not Iron Man, it's like Aluminum Man, but it's Spencer Dinwiddie. Yeah.
So I have no idea. I mean, I'm going to ask you, like, where do you sit on the grand question? Because this gets, anytime I tweet a Mavs take, this gets thrown at me a lot with regards to trade is, there's a contingency of fans that actually want to look at life beyond Luka, that actually want to say we should just give up. He's walking anyways, and we should preserve whatever future we might have. I am of the opinion that you kill your future for the present right now.
Well, I mean,
where do you stand?
They don't have a future or a present is the problem.
Okay, no, but like I'm talking about the deep future.
Oh, you mean like trading all 3 picks or something? Yeah, they will.
Trade everything.
That's what will happen. That's fine.
But do you feel? Yeah, and I'm for it too.
But I mean, my challenge is as I've gone through the team building foibles since 2018, my dumbass has been more right than the Mavericks. I have a problem with that. I am a schmuck.
Don't say that. But.
It's like, there's, you have spoken with lots of NBA players with what you do for a living. I understand that free agency is not easy. Team building is not easy. But the Mavericks have a vision of themselves that does not match with reality. The player, the superstar, the Dirk and the Luka is what defines the Mavericks. The Mavericks do not define that player. It's the nature of the sport. And it's really difficult for some fans to hear that. But when you've done the hard part, you get the top 5 player in the league. Things become more straightforward, but not necessarily simpler. And they've squandered. I don't even know if that's fair.
Yeah.
They have made every move that they have made, with the one exception, no one's going to like this, is Reggie Bullock. Reggie Bullock might have been the best signing that they've had in the whole Luka era. It's just that's amazing to consider. And so it just you look back at this and people, and I've told your friend and mine, Kevin O'Connor, I'm tired of hearing about how the Mavericks are going to make for the Drew Holiday trade. The Bucks traded for the third best player because Chris Middleton is a fucking stud. You have to have a second best player.
Yeah.
The Mavericks don't have one.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of worried that is the sort of mentality sometimes. I mean, like, again, like I don't try to claim to know the full difficulties of roster construction, but sometimes I do feel like it's as simple as like, well, we got to get our version of that. And it's like, no, that's not how this works. It's like, what do you have? How do you build around it? And I think that is the part where it's so painful. Yeah. I really think that the Brunson thing is going to go down as just one of the all-time worst things.
Oh, it is. And
have ever done. And it really took me a long time to get there because I was quite optimistic that it was easy to be a playmaker next to Luka because of the confusion that can cause. But it's not. It's not. And he had the temperament, he had the patience, he had everything he needed to be that sort of person. Yep. And I think those people don't grow on trees. I think they're actually quite rare.
No, and Luka himself admits that he's difficult to play with.
Absolutely. And so it's a really strange thing with the Bullock thing and the Christian Wood thing. I know you're not like super high on him, but like you really honestly shouldn't have to be. Like this is the point you made about Hardy. We were talking about Hardy earlier. It's like, I was texting with our friend John Sabine earlier, and he was like, "Who's your second favorite Mav?" And he's like, "Because I don't really have one." I said, "I think it's Dorian Finney-Smith, hands down, no question. The Mavs haven't had a cool player in like 20 years, and they finally have one." But really, it's like all of these guys, you need them to exceed expectations in every way, like all of them. And that's the reason why I love Dorian so much is probably because he's done it most consistently over the last several years. But that's what we need out of Wood. The last guy who was just on basically said the same thing. It needs to be a combination of Shaq and Hakeem for this team to have any sort of success.
I was higher on Wood when Wood was less important.
Exactly. But now he is a key member. And I feel, look, he's getting plenty of, he's getting a nice little career resurrection here. But like, my goodness, like this is not a recipe for success in Dallas unless they have some sort of something in the works at the trade deadline, which, I can't remember the last time a massive trade deadline trade really swayed much. But
last year they got friggin' Dinwiddie. Dinwiddie was the third Heat, and it made a difference.
Yeah,
and so it's like I'm trying to hedge
we've taken
a
step
bit.
backwards. We've taken a step backwards since then. So it's not. I would say that the Mavs with Brunson, no Dinwiddie, was probably a little bit better than this version right now. But it's really it's a strange place. But I'm very much in the camp of like you do everything for the now. Sure. Because it's what you just talked about. The difficulty is actually finding the generational star. It's what every freaking roster would dream of doing. And it's like, we did that. So what is the point of preserving the future if your present is here and it's now, And so that to me is where I land on that.
Well, they're going to be fine in some regards because Luka Doncic, who is scoring, he has now passed 1,300 points on the season. He's averaging 34.2 points per game. Like in all of our time watching Dirk, every time Dirk scored over 30, it felt like magic. We're watching Luka score 40 regularly, and it's like, oh my God. I learned a stat from Dalton Trigg tonight that he has the most 40-point games against the Clippers, passing Kobe Bryant. So that's a fun one.
That's insane. And it's crazy too. Just one more thing, because I saw Skin Wade tweet this. Somebody tweeted at him, do you think the Mavs? I think they said something like, "Do you think the Mavs would be a top 2 seed in the West if they'd kept Brunson?" And he was like, "Yeah, or if they make their free throws." And that's how crazy it is too.
Not entirely. Strong argument for that.
Yeah, that's how crazy that is. Is that like actually? Like the team is not that far off despite all of the issues we've discussed. True. And I guess the biggest compliment to the Mavs is, the biggest glass half full is simply that there's enough parity in the league that really anything can happen. And so when you have a player of that talent, you always have a chance, which is fun. It creates for really, really fun moments, and they're really, really great moments. But it's like really getting drunk at night, you know? It's like you're so fucking high, and then like middle of the afternoon next day, you're like kind of like, oh God. And that's what it feels like sometimes in these games, in these stretches of games, where it's like, yes, the Mavericks pulled out an incredible win against the Knicks. We forgot all of the woes that led to that game winner, by the way.
If it were 2014, I would ask that you make like a Mavericks commercial using phraseology like we experienced during the pandemic. Like, in these uncertain times, the Mavericks have Luka Doncic. Oh God! All right, man. Thank you so much for.
You got to give it like 5 more years before we do that, Kurt. Come on.
So tough. All right, man. Thanks for hanging out. Bye. All right. Last but not least, we have another friend from across the world. How you doing, Ivor? How do you say your name? I'm so sorry.
No problem. Hey, man. So it's 8:30 in Slovenia. I watched the game. It was pure torture. But the thing that I want to talk about is the whole Mavericks organization and the way they're actually conducting their business. And what I'm seeing is they are just dragging their feet, right? From Dirk and his problems, like not getting help the right time. And people say, okay, it's front office, it's coaching, it's players. It's all of it. You know, it's all of it. If you look at their organization, you see when they do draft a really nice number 2, and I'm talking about Brunson here, they let him go. And it was not the last GM that made a mistake. It was Donnie, right? So they drafted a guy who had experience winning, actually winning something for Villanova, who had a dad that yelled at him as a way to prepare him to play basketball. So I read an interview with Brunson, his family, while he was at college, right? So you got this guy who is psychologically prepared for something, and you offer him a contract that makes him free agent, like not a restricted agent, but you know, okay, we'll fuck around and we'll find out. The problem with this is that all the other players, the Mavs are not developing any young players that are of Luka's age. So what are we talking about? Are we gonna trade for 30-year-old players all the time when the timeline for Luka is, you know, it's just not right? And the fuck up with Brunson is there is no hierarchy in this team. That's why they can't play when Luka sits.
Yep.
You know, Brunson was the one who actually pulled. Brunson pulled shit because he was the one who suffered through Carlisle. And he took it because he was used to it, because he's a goddamn winner. So they finally drafted a guy, not all the undrafted players that made great effort. Like, I love Dodo. I love Powell. I love high effort guys who could actually survive Carlisle, right?
Yep.
So, you know, as someone from the Balkans who understand this hard ass coaching, you know, it's okay. Hard asses are fine.
Yeah.
But you know, to play under people like that, it's psychologically draining, and it fucks you up. So I respect players, especially undrafted players like Maxi, like Dodo, who actually went through that grind, and they had to wait for Carlisle to decide to play them. And Carlisle was making this mistake as well, right? So we have Josh Green, who had potential. You know, you have to play them, and you have to forgive them for certain things. But now you have Jason Kidd, who is dragging his feet, right? Like the whole Mavs organization. So if you see that McGee is not helping, then you have to start playing Wood sooner.
Yeah.
So we actually spent a third of the fucking season experimenting with putting Reggie Bullock, who was in a horrible funk. It's also putting players in a position where they fail, right? It's not good for the players. You're fucking them up, and they're good people. Like, they're trying. Maybe they can't do what we expect them to do, right? But the guys are trying. That's why it's really hard for me to shit on this team, on players. Like,
right.
But
they don't want to miss shots. They don't want to dribble off their feet. They don't want to be put in a position to fail.
No, but we're missing key players. Everyone is, has to do a job that's 1 or 2 steps above what they're capable at the moment, right? So this is something that's not a problem just this year. This has been happening for past few years, right?
Yeah.
And then you force Reggie, we're going to play you for quarter of season, a third of season, starting you. Just sit him down, give him a place to start from the bench. You did it last year, and start playing Green, because you need to develop players. If we would be losing games by developing younger players, I would be less pissed than with what we have now, right? And the reason I'm pissed is because I look at the history of the Mavericks for the past, 6-7 years, and I see, okay, these are the same problems happening. And, if you have a guy like Carlisle who can, pull water from the stone, so to speak, then fine, don't have him anymore. And he has his own problems as well, right?
Yep.
So we have certain problems because of the way he was coaching people, right? Because Josh Green was messed up in the head by his coaching, his type of coaching. He even said it out loud. I was surprised he was so direct, saying, right, it's really nice to actually get an opportunity to have a coach that says, no, I stand by you, go. And even Jalen Johnson had to fight for minutes, right? And the
Absolutely.
guy doing stuff really early on. So, okay, so these are my 5 cents. That's what I was thinking today, because I was majorly pissed watching this game, and
Well, hopefully you feel better having said it and gotten it off your chest to start your day, and now you can go about the rest of your day being mildly less annoyed with the Mavericks.
So anyway, everyone have a nice day. Thank you for having me, Kurt.
No, always appreciate you joining. Thanks so much. Okay. God, 1:30 could be worse. Could be better, but I'm awake. I have an Orange Theory class in the morning, and I have to run a mile as fast as possible. Place bets on whether I die, not just like finish, just like whether I live. Period. All right. Thank you so much for hanging out till the wee hours of the morning with us. Mavs Moneyball has a couple of good posts up in the morning. We have Meta Robinson's Basketball's Feelings post coming up, and she wrote about free throws, which I think is pretty applicable. I really enjoyed this piece. Our guy, Mavs Draft, Richard Stamen, wrote, he's been, writing these Mavs draft pieces for us, just like looking at local players when he goes and sees. That'll be up. And then if you missed this column today, Brett Brooks, Brent, what's wrong with me? I'm sorry, Brent, I'm tired. Brent Brooks wrote a really good piece about coaching that I think is worth checking out on the site. Everybody be good. Have a better Wednesday, and we will talk Thursday after the Lakers game. Bye, guys.